Hi, Emily.
Hi, Kerry. I'm excited because, you know me, I'm so excited. I won't sing. Um, Pixie 21, the geek that I am, I was so glad to see in there that prejudice-based and discriminatory-based bullying is now quoted as a safeguarding
Yeah,
issue, i.e., finally recognizing the impact it has on the well-being of children.
yeah,
Thinking about all the protective characteristics, LGBTQI+, invisible disabilities, all of that,
yeah, yeah,
including race, culture, and religion, etc. So finally, we have a voice for our young people, but also finally recognizing, of course, it impacts on my well-being and how I see myself in the
yeah.
world. So I was at a very good event recently, and I spoke to some former students from independent schools. Okay.
Right. Yeah,
And independent schools, I'm saying, is because it was fee paying.
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
there's elements that,
yeah.
you know, was there, and both boarding and day school. Okay, in the sense of their kind of access to the school. And I'm going to share with you some of their quotes because I think
Okay.
it's really powerful for us to think, and also what would they have had to experience to be thinking this. And you're
Yeah,
talking from year 7 all the way to the top. Okay.
yeah,
Um, one of them was sort of saying, you know, she tried her best to be invisible because she was aware that no one was noticing what was happening to her. Yeah.
because you wanted to be
Um,
invisible.
yeah, because all the experiences that she was just facing around discrimination and prejudice was so blatant that she thought she hid herself, she could
Right.
miss it, and
Yeah,
it
okay.
wouldn't affect her.
That's
Yeah.
quite sad.
Um, yeah. So a little health warning here. It's quite hurtful what I'm telling you, but I think it's powerful for us to hear it from
Yeah,
their perspective.
yeah,
Um, I'm only here to fill a quota.
yeah,
Should I just be thankful?
yeah,
Why do they place limits on what I can achieve? Why am I fighting battles by myself, i.e., what's happening to them?
yeah.
Where else would it be acceptable to be not receive the service you've paid for?
Oh, yeah.
And the final one, last one is quite the powerful one. Am I crazy, or does anybody else see this?
Right.
So I spoke to them, and I was saying, you know, talk to me, and they were talking about their well-being, how they experienced things on an almost daily basis that people didn't see.
Yeah,
And there's something a new word I've learned called white normity in this, or normality, in the
yeah,
sense of how their experiences would
yeah,
have been, because they weren't that, they were the other.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
being the other, they didn't feel they were part of the group, they weren't
yeah,
included, they didn't understand their needs from their hair to their just general well-being. And one of them said she was actually very low in mood all the way through. And she just had to grin and bear it because no one reached out to her. And she felt she was a problem. She felt she was a problem
right.
because everyone else didn't have the problem. So she felt
Yeah,
she created the problem rather than it was around her. So I was glad to see this in keeping children safe. And the point I'm making here is it's really important that we take on board, whether it's any type of characteristic, in the sense of a young person feeling able to talk to somebody or for someone to understand. So what was really sad was these young people really felt that the school didn't really know them.
yeah,
No one had noticed their sadness. It wasn't their personality. So what are we doing to actually support any child in
yeah,
any setting
yeah.
around
Giving
their
them a voice.
well-being, and
Yeah,
us not understanding? Yeah.
yeah.
So I think it's just more, what really does prejudice-based bullying mean? So we
Yeah.
know in schools children use gay word, don't they, as a derogatory way, right?
I
So
would say
that
less so
means children
recently.
experiencing that.
I've noticed that a lot less recently.
Good, good. But I know last academic year, and that's good because maybe work has been done and some
Yeah,
children are actually finally realizing it's just not acceptable.
yeah,
Um, I think there is still a lot to be done in, do young people know about this? So going back to my child-friendly policy, do young people know that actually this is now part of safeguarding?
yeah. No, I
So
don't think
if
they
they've
do.
really experienced it and they're internalizing it, do they
Yeah,
know they're quite empowered to talk about it
yeah,
because they've got
yeah,
a right not to experience it
yeah,
or get help in it? Do you
yeah,
understand? So I think we need to take this out of the paragraph and
yeah,
actually be talking to young people about it, because in the young people I spoke to, the former students, they were quite empowered by what I was, they really felt recognized to say, wow, does that mean children now in schools would have that to help them?
yeah.
because they felt they didn't have that same support.
And how do you think it will look, actually physically look in schools? How do you perceive it? Do you perceive it as a society? Do you perceive it as a policy? How do you see that paragraph from the Keeping Children Safe actually in schools?
Yeah. So are we culturally conscious? So are we culture conscious?
Yeah.
So we don't have the colorblind approach, because that doesn't work. We have to recognize someone's different, the other, and bring them in. So
I think that's a really new thing, because I think that go back 5 years ago, I'd be sitting in meetings and some people would say, oh, I'm not racist, I don't even look at you that way, and that was perceived as an okay answer, whereas I think now people are realizing that's not. But
absolutely.
I think that's just changed.
Yeah, and same with gender, same with sexuality. So we're in a new place now where all of those things are really important for the individual in it, rather than society trying to treat us all the same.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So it's one where actually taken on intersectionality, taken on board that actually my experiences will be different to my peers.
Yeah.
And what it will look like would be someone has noticed that someone's made a comment about my hair.
Yeah.
Someone has noticed that I've been excluded from a group, or noticed that, you know, I'm not doing swimming because I haven't got a swimming cap. You know, or have noticed that if I was in boarding that actually my hair is really dry and it needs oils and lotions, and as a setting, can you help me do that without me asking? Years ago, I was in residential social work when I was training in 90s, I only said 60s, in the 90s. And I remember speaking to some young black girls in care, and the same, or mixed race girls, and the same thing there was around people didn't understand that they needed extra things to support their basic needs. You know, their basic needs, the shampoos, the conditioners. They can't use the ordinary products. It has to be deep conditioning. They need to wear silk scarves to bed, or bonnets, you know, to bed, to stop their hair from drying, or silk pillowcases. There's so much to be done that we don't know. Likewise, birthday cards. If I was in boarding, would you give me a card that had a brown girl on it? Because I'd really like to feel beautiful and not be given everything with, you know, with white girls on it, because that will make me feel that I'm not part of this and I don't feel beautiful. You know, how many times do we tell people with curly hair their hair's beautiful rather than straight hair being, you know what I mean? There's so many things that we just got to think of to make that person feel comfortable, but recognizing it. So going back to your question, recognizing it and being the ally, you know, in it. Being the ally and recognizing someone's been excluded, or someone said something or made a comment, banter, and you actually resolving it, supporting, so that person feels supported and someone else has seen it. So again, it goes back then to training.
Culture,
you know, find training about it's a culture. It's a culture. You know, looking out for people, the bystander model. The bystander model again, but for all children of any characteristic.
Okay, that's really great. Thank you.
No problem. Bye. Thank you.